today, what does it mean to be data-driven, the benefits of data-driven, building blocks. We'll do a demo and we'll wrap up. Quick housekeeping. All the slides will be available after the webinar, and please ask questions in the window. So what is a data-driven culture? So we look at it in three different ways. First off, you want to make smarter business decisions. You want to use your data more effectively, and you want to instill trust and commitment across your enterprise. So in Infragistics, like, we could be a case study for creating a data-driven culture. We've gone through this process maybe over the last 4 years, I guess. I don't know. I've been with Infragistics for 17 years or 18 years now. And, you know, in the beginning, back in, 2003, 2007, 2009, we had data, but, we always looked at data in one way. And the world didn't really open up to this BI analytics culture that's been really promoted over the last 5 to maybe 8 or 9 years. So we've evolved in how we use data to make every decision. And when we're in a meeting, if there's no data, we don't really care about how you feel about this issue. Bring the data. There's no more gut feeling, no more assumptions, no more like, oh, that guy, he always knows the right answer. Yeah, that doesn't happen. Data can really tell you where things are going, not only what happened, but where things are going, and it really does help make those smarter business decisions. Where you get the benefit is in very concrete things, like the second bullet here, the customer journey. Think about tracking every aspect of your customer journey over the last 20 years, and then you would say, oh man, you know what, we're not getting as many conversions, so let's have the UX team redesign the website. And then you redesign the website, and guess what happens? Your conversions get worse. Well, maybe the website had nothing to do with the problem. And this is really what happens, is people made decisions without data, and they still do it today. I mean, you're going to see some statistics in today's presentation where this is not commonplace in the enterprise. And then finally, the biggest thing is having this trust. So instilling trust and commitment across the organization, so then everyone is using shared metrics, and they start to really rely on data as what's driving the success of your department, your company, your organization. I mean, we all have metrics, right? So you're using Jira, and your developers are writing software, and it's very easy to tell who writes all the bugs. It's very easy to tell who writes the most code. It's very easy to tell who fixes the most bugs, who responds to the most customer requests. But are you using that in the right way? Is the guy that has the most bugs written in your repository and in your reports, is that because he's writing the most code? Is that because he's answering the most questions? Or is it because he doesn't really know the technology or the platform that he's writing code for? So by using data and the right metrics, you can actually get to these types of results. But everyone has to be on the same metrics, and we're going to talk about those metrics today, around metrics that matter, and give some examples of that. So the role of data and analytics is changing from being a standalone discipline to becoming a catalyst for digital strategy. So this is what I was talking about with Infragistics, is when we looked at data in the past, it was like, hey, we have all this data, we always make data-driven decisions. Well, we did and we didn't. So in the beginning, what usually happens is there is a lot of data, and then kind of the person in charge is saying, oh, these are the metrics, or this is what we need to improve on. But they don't really know, because maybe they don't have all the data, or they're not looking at the data in the right way. The second example around experimental decision making, if you're not familiar with the concept of growth hacking is, or the foundation of growth hacking is experimental decision making. So we do this at Infragistics. There's no there's no silver bullet answer to every problem. So what do you have to do? You have to experiment. You have to say, okay, in 2000, the year 2000, we were doing A/B testing on websites. Like, that was the biggest thing in the world. Like, let's see which website page they click the button on more. Okay, well, we pretty much know through UX that they're always going to click the button in the upper right-hand side, and if the color sticks out. Like, you don't really need to test that anymore. But what you do need to test is the message correct? Are they scrolling? once they read the page, or actually, are they on the page for more than like 3 seconds before they bounce? So looking at bounce rates and, oh, let's change messaging to see if they stay a little longer. Let's see what the button says that leads to a conversion versus a download. Do we say start a trial or call sales or contact us? So these are all of these growth hacking experiments that you can do to actually drive better decisions. The third area is culture. Culture, no matter what, like culture goes through every change in an organization. The hardest thing to do is change culture. And the problem with small companies, and small companies being like, maybe 300 employees or less, or maybe 400, is that the people at the top have probably been there for a while. So they're driving the culture. And the way they've always done things is how everyone does things. But when they start to change and adapt, so for example, let's say you're in a small business and you have 100 or 200 employees, and your CEO has always done things a certain way, but then he starts talking about this data-driven culture. So you're like, might be a little like suspicious, like, wait a minute, why is he changing the way we're making decisions? Why aren't we doing things the way we did last week or last year? This is the culture change is the hardest thing. Going from a waterfall to agile to DevOps, a huge culture change for a product team. Marketing teams, did things historically a certain way. Now you're using tools like Marketo and Adobe, and you're figuring out answers and can do things in different ways. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it because we never did it this way. So the resistance to change is always what blocks these things from being successful in an organization. And that's one of the bigger things that you have to overcome. And then the fourth area is just tooling. We're going to show you Reveal today. Of course, there's a lot of tools on the market. And of course, we know Reveal is the best tool to really facilitate data storytelling, collaboration, and sharing of data across the organization, either as an app or as an embedded solution in your existing applications, where you can push this out in your applications to customers. So this data-driven culture isn't as easy as you might think, because there's a lot of moving parts to making sure that you can be successful. So a great statistic from Gartner is 65% of data science projects are not operationalized, even though it's easier than ever to access data and create that analysis. So this is no different than statistics like, 30% of IT projects are never delivered. There's always this number in the beginning of a shift in an organization, which shows that, hey, we're not being successful. So what that really means is we have to try harder to be successful. So when we think about things like customer acquisition, retention, okay, so ultimately your metric is revenue. It's sales, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're writing a feature in a product, or you're a salesperson selling the product, or you're the CEO coming up with the strategy with your management team. Sales and revenue are the end goal, but how do we get there? So looking at customer acquisition and retention through analytics and insights, but acting on those insights is critical. Today, we see all kinds of data, and this is a really mind-boggling number. 2.5 quintillion bytes of data is created each day. So over the last 2 years alone, 90% of the world's data was generated. So there was a quote from oh gosh, I can't remember his name, the CEO and co-founder of Netscape, Jim Clark. And Jim Clark had this quote back in 1999, and he was talking about the amount of data, like the amount of data the whole world has is being created every month. And back then you were like, whoa, every month. Okay, so now it's happening like every day. And so we're just getting more and more and more data. So everything is being tracked. If you go to any website and you click the view cookies, you're looking at all the data that every single person who has a slice of that website is looking at. And it's not the product team, the marketing team, the sales team, but it's IoT devices. So data from where you're parking in a parking lot, or how you're driving on the road, or what you're doing in a shopping mall or a grocery store. Everything's being tracked. So we're just collecting all this data. But the biggest thing is we just can't look at the data. We actually have to do something with the data. And that's all about creating that data-driven culture. So by 2023, A digital ops mindset will be the key reason for more than half of large enterprises meeting their digital transformation goals. So what does this actually digital ops mean? Well, if we talk and think about dev ops, marketing ops, all of these major organizational silos, I guess, all have to operationalize what they're doing. So here's 6 things that are really critical. The benefits: making more confident decisions, becoming more proactive, company success and longevity. So a more agile organization can pivot and maximize resources. And that's what's really important here, is that the old way doesn't work anymore. All this data is being collected. Your organization is collecting all this data. How can you use it? Awareness and transparency. So keeping everyone in the know is critical. How many of you work for a company where you don't know the sales goals? You don't know an individual salesperson's goals. You don't know the product team goals. Many of us work in companies like that, where there is no transparency on those goals. In Infragistics, everything's wide open. Every month we have a company meeting, we see sales, we see revenue versus target, we know what everyone's doing, we see details. So like at our company, we've gone through this shift. Now, when I started back in 2003, it was like, yeah, I didn't know, we didn't talk about this stuff. But then slowly, like 2007, 8, we have more information. Now everything, like we don't even like, before it's like, well, let's have these other people make this decision and then let everyone know. No, let's get everyone in the room, come up with the goals together, because the shared goal and transparency is how we win. And then we can ensure that our teams are driving towards the right goals. I'll answer the why. You can gain deeper insights into your customer journeys, identify funnel leaks and success points. There's a book, and I think it's called, maybe it's called Asking Why. But anyway, I wrote a document around, asking why at least 5 times. And so when you ask someone a question, they give you an answer. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's a good answer. Then you ask them why. And then, okay, but why? Why? Until you get to the root cause or the root issue or the root question, you'll never really know how to make the right decision. Continuing to ask the why. So I say ask why like 5 times. And there's all these things on the internet about asking why, and then continuing to ask why to ensure that you're not just acting on the first thing that you hear. You really have to get that deeper insight. Then, of course, data-driven, you identify new revenues of growth. We do this all the time. We're like, wait a minute, that's interesting. We didn't realize that was a correlation of that. So maybe we should focus some marketing spend over here and then growth hack a little bit and see what kind of revenue we can pull in this month, this quarter, or with the campaign. So the building blocks, the 6 areas we're going to talk about really quickly before the demo: leadership, trust, commitment, metrics, data literacy, and training. These 6 things are areas that you just need to start knocking off to drive a data-driven culture in your organization. So number 1 is leadership. So embed data analytics into business strategy and digital transformation by creating a vision of a data-driven enterprise, quantifying and communicating business outcomes, and fostering business changes fueled by data. So the idea with the digital transformation, so when you think about digital transformation, you're talking about, oh, we're going to redo our website. We're going to, retheme our application. We're going to look more modern and new. But really, digital transformation has to do with a data-driven culture, and it needs to start at the top. There needs to be a vision. So you, being in this webinar today, being interested in this, you need to create a vision for what this looks like for your organization. It doesn't need to be the CEO, but the CEO needs to be 100% on board and with you on this journey, and then he needs to push it to the other members of your team, your management team, the executives, etc. Because without starting with this vision, without that leadership, you're not going to get the results that you expect. So everyone needs to shift their mindset, leaders first, and then you start working on everyone underneath you in your organization to really begin embracing data and alter the way everyone approaches decision making. So here's a few tips. Actively using data daily. What do we do at Infragistics? reveal dashboards are always getting updated, either by individuals who are tracking specific metrics by the machine that are just auto-generated, on demand, etc. So, but looking at those dashboards daily is how we keep up on what's happening with the business. Now, when we think about sales, do we have to look at sales every day? No. But do we have to look at downloads, conversions? Are we running a campaign? How's the campaign performing? Yeah, we have to look at that data every day. You know, we do a lot of work on SEO, and you know, the product marketing manager who's in charge of that product for SEO, he needs to look every day. He needs to make sure that the tweaks that we made through growth hacking, through experimental decision making, are working. I'll make a point to ask for data prior to making decisions. That goes to, let's get rid of that gut feeling. Communicate through KPIs. You're going to see some of that today in Casey's demo, how you can use KPIs and reveal to really drive that story. And then keep up on things. There's tons of training out there, and even to get started, we're going to talk about training later, but look at, you know, the week-long data science course on an online thing like Udemy or some of the other great online training areas, or YouTube channels. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. Microsoft has tons of data science, Google data science courses, but it really starts to give you some ways of thinking. And then display metrics digitally through the office. So, and at Infragistics, when we were in the office, of course, we're not right now, the marketing team has this huge screen, and that's where they're showing dashboards and metrics and all this other stuff. And like, you know, it's right in their face. So they know what's going on all the time. And it really does. It shows like, hey, from the marketing VP down, they care about these numbers, and this is really what we're looking for. So trust, by 2020, 90% of corporate strategies will explicitly mention information as a critical enterprise asset and analytics as an essential competency. This is, you know, all of these big analyst companies like Gartner, Forrester, you know, you name it, they're doing research all the time on what does the C-level care about? Well, you know what the C-level cares about in the last several surveys? Well, before that, it was always user experience. So user experience is critical to our business success. Well, now it's about data literacy, data science. How do we use the data that we have? Everyone becomes a data company. So if you remember, like maybe 5 years ago, it became real popular to say everyone's a software company, right? UPS was a logistics company all of a sudden. Like, wait a minute, don't they just deliver my mail? Oh no, they're a logistics company. FedEx, well, they're a software company. The big banks, Bank of America, Deutsche Bank, they are software companies, and they also happen to do banking. But now everyone needs to be a data company, a data aware company. They need to have data science because they're collecting data, and that's how they're driving those decisions. So creating the single source of truth with a data strategy eliminates the he said, she said. This is so common. Like, no, I told you this wouldn't work. Well, wait a minute, based on what? Spend less time hunting for data, enable employees who really know the business and the data to instill trust in others that information is accurate. So there has to be data stewards, and you'll, you know, through your own training and research, the concept of a data steward in a company when you're doing data science activities means, well, this person's sort of the go-to person. They are who kind of gives people information on where to go, what to look for, but they can always be trusted in the data that they're putting out. This could be the people in IT. It could be a power user in sales. At Infragistics, Casey serves a role in this as well because she is so in tune with where all the data is at in the organization. We always say, oh, well, she knows which widget or which dashboard or which chart will tell us the information that we need. Once you start doing this, you really start expanding these insights across departments, and it's amazing what happens. And then this also creates less work for your data administrator when managing all the data is in one location. So again, 10 years ago, what did every organization have to do 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago? Create APIs. Let's make sure that all of this data that's in our back end is accessible through APIs. If you haven't done that yet, that's something you need to do to get on the path to a data-driven culture, because then that data is accessible to everyone in your organization. So commitment. So by 2022, more than half of major new business systems will incorporate continuous intelligence that uses real-time context data to improve decisions. If you haven't heard of a company called Snowflake yet, they're like the darling of everyone in the data space. And the reason is what Snowflake has done is created this massive cloud data warehouse, data lake, whatever the new term is. There's all these different levels of data in the cloud. But what they do is they do things in real time. So this real-time data gets fed to applications, to clients like Reveal, who are looking at data. So looking at this real-time data to make decisions in real time is becoming more prevalent. So you need to ensure analytics that you're getting tie back to those critical business efforts. That's what we talk about in the metrics that matter, because if you're looking at the wrong thing, it doesn't matter how real time your data is. Keep data at the forefront of employee coaching. Make sure team goals are always present for gauging team performance. This goes back to the big screen in marketing. This goes back to using KPIs and dashboards. This goes back to creating the vision. So like right now at Infragistics, we're going through our annual strategic planning. We have a rolling 3-year strategic plan. What do? We have goals based on teams on what we need to achieve for the next 3 years. Then those goals are made aware to everyone. And honestly, the goals are created by everyone too, but it's just sharing that information. So everyone knowing the goals, being transparent, always present, we know how we're doing as a team. And then investing in AI. I think AI is an area where a lot of companies may feel like they're a little bit behind, but only, from what we see, only the top, like the cream of the crop companies are really doing intense AI with their data because it's complex and you need specialized skills to do it. But AI kind of shows up in places, like it just shows up in Reveal. You get AI. And we're going to continue to push the limits of AI to ensure that we can deliver it to you in a simple way. But the idea is that if you're not doing AI now, don't feel like you're behind, but eventually your company will be investing in AI. Metrics that matter are critical. And everyone in the webinar today knows what I'm talking about, because you've probably had arguments with people in charge or your coworkers about what metric should we really be tracking. So this quote, trying to force people to conform their work to pre-established numerical goals tends to stifle innovation and creativity, valuable qualities in most settings. And it almost inevitably leads to evaluation of short-term goals over long-term purposes. This happens all the time. So so there's people think in different ways. Some people are very analytical, and once they start thinking about something, they're in that silo and they can't break out of it. Other people think like, oh, well, I'm going to think on the edges. I'm a little suspicious of this data or how we're tracking it, so I want to start looking at different ways that we might think of a metric that will help us get to a better result. So you can't stifle that. So you have to really ask why, and get to the right metrics that matter. So you need to choose the right KPIs, look at historical data to set realistic goals. So for example, if you guys are looking at your sales team and the sales manager says, we're going to grow 80% this year, but you're the software development manager, and you're like, yeah, but we're not adding any new releases this year. How are we going to grow 80%? So those are some of the things, like everyone has to be aligned. So at Infragistics, like, hey, we're going to ship there's a new technology from Microsoft called Blazor. We're shipping a Blazor product at the end of July. I'm working, or have been working, with the sales team for the last 4 months on what to expect from customers when this ships. I didn't say we're going to, make $30 million more in July because of Blazor, but I did say that this is an incremental technology from Microsoft that we're going to see a spike in interest, and then over the next maybe 3 to 4 quarters, we'll start seeing adoption, but over the next 2 to 4 years, we'll see real adoption. So just because we're doing something new doesn't mean you're going to see that instant result. You have to understand what you're doing, how you're delivering to the market, and what the market expects. Identify new technology needed for the organization to access and analyze data, and then assign data administrators, data stewards, for for ensuring that accurate data and providing the proper access to the organization. So that's like, what are my connection strings to get to the Marketo data? How can I get into the Salesforce data to build a dashboard that links in my Google Analytics? What are the login credentials? Do I have access, etc.? Those are some of the things you have to think about. So when we talk about metrics that matter, this is a screenshot I grabbed off the internet. This is really great. There's this concept of the vanity metric, and vanity metrics are rampant in your organization. So if we just look at, like, for example, the third line on the bottom here, paid search metrics. How many times when you go, if you're in marketing, do you go and you talk to someone that wants to advertise, or you're going to use their ad service, and they're like, oh, we're going to give you 4 million impressions. Oh, great. Well, 4 million impressions of baseball fans when I'm trying to sell footballs doesn't help me. I need to have a certain number of leads. I need to know what that cost per lead is. And then I need to know how much it's going to cost me to acquire that customer. So I don't care about impressions, ad position, click-through rate. So vanity metric, click-through rate's the best. I mean, I've sitting in these meetings for years. Hey, what's our click-through rate on that email, that link? Oh, it's 0.07%. Oh, okay. What's the industry average? Well, I think it's like 1.2%. Oh, that seems pretty low. Oh, but that's what they tell us. Okay, well, how many leads did we get? Oh, we don't know. We can't track that. So that's the problem right there. You're basing decisions off of the wrong data or the wrong metrics. Social metrics, there's this whole concept in social of, tweets, like retweets. Oh man, I got like 4,000 retweets on this thing about Reveal. Okay, well, how many deals did we get out of that? That's the first thing the sales executive asks. Hey, we did this new campaign. Okay, how many deals? Well, we need to figure out how to track that. So ensuring you have the right metrics is important. There's a great book that Casey recommended to the team here called Measure What Matters. There's this concept of OKRs, objectives and key results. Google started this back 10, 15 years ago. And that's how they drive all of their metrics. I highly recommend this book. It is really, really good, and it'll make you think differently about how you're thinking of metrics for your organization. And of course, you'll just shake your head. You're like, yep, we do that, because that's what we did at Infragistics when we started looking at this really closely. So by 2023, data literacy will become an explicit and necessary driver of business value, demonstrated by its formal inclusion in over 80% of data analytics strategies and change management programs. So adjusting to working with data means changing the way we operate in our daily activities. So all of the areas in these 6 focus areas for creating a data-driven culture all drive to that. So you have to ensure employees understand what data means. Employees have to be able to read business charts and graphs. They have to know what an x-axis is, or a y-axis, or a time series, because these words you're going to be using in your organization. They have to know the difference between a pie chart and a bar chart. You have to know how to use visualizations with data. So I was in this meeting, I don't know how many years ago, but we're looking at this area chart. And an area chart, actually Casey will end up showing you one, but it's so easy to obfuscate your data if you are using the wrong chart using the wrong chart with your data. You're not telling the right story. So even though it looks pretty, so the person's like, well, it looks really good. Look at, well, no, this should actually be a column chart so we can actually see all of the data. Because once you start hiding data in a chart, no one knows what it's saying. Be able to draw correct conclusions from reading data and applying data visualizations. If you haven't watched our do's and don'ts webinar from 2 weeks ago, we talk about this ad nauseum for quite a while. So definitely check that out, and be able to recognize when data is being used to mislead, or when it promotes data bias. This is the biggest issue. We talked about this a lot in the last presentation 2 weeks ago, dashboards, do's and don'ts. But data bias is used everywhere, and you need to be able to immediately spot it when you guys start moving to a data-driven culture. Because trust me, when your sales executive is showing you 180% growth, but the CEO is presenting at the company meeting that you're down 20%, you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't add up. And then the sales guy isn't giving the whole information. So this stuff happens, and you need to be able to say, hey, let's not do that, because trust and transparency to our metrics is really what we're trying to do here with a data-driven culture. And then training, it's a great quote. Every beginner possesses a great potential to be an expert in his or her chosen field. And that's the whole point of training and lifelong learning. You cannot stop. So just because you went to that week-long data science class or the 2-year data science class at, University of Michigan or something to get a certificate doesn't mean you know everything. You still have to keep learning, and then you need to pass that learning down to the folks that work for you, because that's how you get the culture spread across the organization. So training on how to get the data is just the beginning. How to turn the data into actionable insight is the real goal. So what tools do I have? Is data available? Does my team understand the visualizations? Do we hire a data scientist? Are we learning within? Can we do effective data storytelling? What we did at Infragistics is we have stakeholders in the organization. They did a lot of learning, some online, some in person. Of course, they're just motivated people, and they really help us promote this throughout the organization. So there's always go-to people for getting questions answered, and then they're promoting within the org how to do certain things. So this is critical to be successful in a data-driven culture. So then why don't we all have a data-driven culture? Confucius said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." It's culture. It's all of the things we talked about today. But if you can't change your culture, you can't change yourself. You can't change the organization. So the 6 areas, let's put the word lack of in front of them. So lack of leadership, lack of trust, lack of commitment, lack of metrics that matter, lack of data literacy, and lack of training. This is what happens when one of these doesn't happen out of the 6, you won't achieve a data-driven organization. So if you have a team of 5 people and 4 of you are totally on board with this new way of looking at data, you're using dashboards, but there's one person that just refuses to do it, that's a problem. It's no different than, when you guys moved to some new CRM, or you started to do Agile instead of Waterfall. There's always the outlier. Now, can you pull that person along with you? Hopefully you can, because unless everyone's on board and everyone trusts each other and it's transparent and fluid, you're going to run into these problems. So tools to collaborate, share, and tell data stories are foundational in this. So once you have a stakeholder and you kind of have this vision, and then you start pulling in, like, what tool can help us start to promote this across the organization, to promote trust, to show leadership, to show the type of KPIs and metrics that we're tracking. Well, tooling helps, and that's where Reveal comes in. So right now, I am going to pass it over to Casey, who's going to walk us through some of these scenarios that we talked about, and you'll see with Reveal how easy this can be. So Casey, I am going to make you the presenter.
Cool, and you can hear me okay?
Yep.
All right.
And we can see your screen.
You can? All right,
yep.
Cool. And you are just seeing Reveal, right?
That's it.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to walk you through, as Jason said, how Reveal 1 works, and 2 can give you some of the features needed to create that data-driven culture that we talked about. I'm going to present Reveal through the web environment, but we also support desktop, iOS, and Android as well, all of which you can always get from our website. So when I first come into Reveal, I'm in kind of like my home section here, where I have all the dashboards that I'm working on. I have all my favorite dashboards, all my recents, and then we provide you samples out of the box as well here to take a look at. And through this top navigation here is where I have all my different teams that I can collaborate on. And with Reveal, when you log in with your Google or your Microsoft corporate account, we automatically create an organization for you out of the box. And as your team members and coworkers log into Reveal as well, they're automatically added to this organization. So it's a great starting point for that central place of truth that we were talking about in the deck, where you can have certain permissions for users and you can have your true data administrators be your owners that are really guiding the data that your company is seeing as a whole. And then from there, you have your other different teams that you can then break down permissions and invite different users to. So as a marketing group, we might want to see some different details of data rather than having that at the organization. So that's where you can collaborate with your team there. I did create this one little sample that I was gonna kind of work off for this demo here, where you can see that some of the different visualizations that we have in Reveal present here, as well as I'm utilizing one of our top level filters here too. So within Reveal, I have interactions at the dashboard level for my tooltips. I can expand different charts. I can change charts right from here as a viewer. So I can show you that area chart that Jason was talking about. I can look at the data behind my charts. I can switch back to the original, and then we have a number of built-in statistical functions as well. So I can perform forecasting, linear regression, and outlier detection right within 2 clicks of Reveal here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through kind of like recreating at least some of the visualizations in that dashboard there. So if I come up here to add dashboard up at the top, I'm then prompted to select my data source. So we select, I think, about 20 out of the box data sources now. Each month we add more and more. So we're trying to release every 4 to 6 weeks with new both chart types, features, and data sources. So for the purpose of this, though, I am just going to use a sample file that I have on my OneDrive. And what Reveal does is it now prompts me with all the different sheets that I have within my Excel file here. I can preview them, but I'm just going to select this sales one and select data or pull it in. And over here on the left-hand side is where all of my fields populate for the given source that I selected. The settings for each of my chart types will be right here. So for each different chart type, you have different settings. And here's where I can either click and pull over my data or very easily drag and drop. So if I wanted to recreate that line chart we were looking at, I'll pull over date, new sales, and I think I had forecast here. And then right up here, I'm just going to change that to a line chart, change it from year to month. And then I'm going to just change the title to new sales versus forecast. And just like that, I have my first chart type here. And you can see that the settings within this chart are different than the ones that we had for the pivot table. So once I'm happy with how this looks, I'm just going to hit the check up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that dashboard level filter here. So I'm going to come here and hit date filter. I could have a category up here. So if I wanted to pull up territory, I could pull territory up as a filter to the top. And then I'm just going to hit connect, and Reveal recognizes the date source that I'm using. And I'll hit create filter. I'm going to come up here and just change this to last 365 days. And then you can see my data change. I'm actually just going to duplicate this now here and go into edit mode. And I'm going to now change this to a pie chart. So I'm going to remove these fields and I'm going to switch this to a pie chart. And you can see here that the boxes changed in the data section. So what we're doing is we're letting you know exactly what you need in order to create this chart type. So I need a label and a value, which is different from if I was creating like a combo chart. I need a label and something for chart 1 and chart 2. So if I just come back here to pie chart, I'm going to do just new sales by territory. And I'm actually going to add a drill down to that. So I'll pull over, I think I have a product field, and we'll do new sales by territory. And then once I'm happy with that, I'll hit the check up here again. And then I already have my second chart here. So what we have on by default is an auto layout. So as I keep adding more, the charts will be the same size and keep building from there. Or the second that I start rearranging and resizing in Reveal, the auto layout will go off and I can change and move my charts around as I please. And then what I'm going to do is just come up here to add a new chart type. So what I could do is I could pull in data from another source if I wanted to. I am just going to stick with the same one that we pin up here to the top for you. And I'm going to create a KPI versus target. So I need a date, I need a value, and then I need my target. So then once I have everything needed for that chart, you can see that it populates. I can come here, I can change this to be large number formatting. I can look at this either year to date, month to date, however I wish. And I'll just do new sales here. And then, I didn't mean to do that. I'm not going to connect that to the date filter because it already has a date calculation already going on. So it's already taking my month to date versus the previous or versus the forecast. So I'm just going to hit check there, and then I can just resize this, bring this up here. Doesn't look as great because I don't have that many. And then once I'm happy with the way that my dashboard does look, I would just come up here and hit this check. I would save this to, I can directly save it to a project that I'm on if I have permission, to the organization if I have permission, or just to my home. So I'm just going to save it right here for now for the purpose of this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a team. So I'm going to go to join or create team here, and all of the teams within my organization that have the privacy of public come up here. So it's a good way for discovery of different data here. If I wanted to join any of these teams, I could, and I have the right to. But I'm going to create a new team. I'm just going to call it data driven. I can change the privacy here, so I'm going to keep it private for the purpose of this. I could add a logo and my color here, so when we export to PDF and PowerPoint for your different charts, it'll export with a nice branded logo and color for you for your different organizations and teams. I'm just going to create this here, and I'm actually going to invite Jason to it. And you can see as I'm typing, the different members in my organization are automatically coming up, and people that are in my contacts and things like that. So I'm going to give Jason the member permissions. He can either be a viewer, member, or owner. And I'm going to send him an invite. He's grayed out until he accepts, so we'll just move on from here. And what I'm going to do is go back to my home and take that the nice dashboard that I have here, and I'm just going to move it to that team. So what I typically do is, as I'm working on dashboards, I have them in my home section. Then once I'm good with the way they look, I move them over to a team, and you can see down here, Jason's joined my team. I'm going to go to data driven, and I'm going to move this dashboard. You can see that it disappeared from this view, and now it does exist in my data driven team here. So if Jason was to go in and make any updates to this dashboard, I will get a notification up here as I did that he joined the team. We can collaborate in here. We can add new members. We can share just this dashboard with other people as well. So if I came in here again to a few of the other options that we have is exporting. So we can export to PDF, PowerPoint, Excel. Excel is pretty nice. It will export the visualizations for you and map directly to Excel visualizations. And you can see that I missed what that notification just said. But if
I requested access to your data source.
Oh, because it's on my OneDrive. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So if you
that's
can make it, yeah.
that's
So
a
if you
good
made an
example,
edit to
yeah.
the dashboard and I had it, a file already shared with him, but I do get that notification that I can go in and grant him access. But we do have, as I was saying, exports to PowerPoint. So if I come here and click export to PowerPoint, what you see is a nice UI of the different visualizations within my dashboard. So you have your first overview one, and then it goes into each individual visualization where I can select which ones I want on the export. I can come here, I can annotate right from within this editor. I could use an arrow here. I can use text. Why is this so low or something? And then I can hit the check up here, and you can see that that will reflect in my PowerPoint. I can add descriptions and titles to my slides. You can see where the branding comes in. So it gives you a nice ready to go PowerPoint for your different meetings that you might have or whatever it might be. Yeah, that was the demo.
Click your notification and then just show people what happens here. So what basically happens is, because I might not have access to a file, we allow you to give access to your data sources. And it's mostly going to be your own data sources, like, for example, OneDrive, Google Drive, things like that, files. If you're an IT and you don't, someone has to give access to SQL Server or Google or whatever. But those notifications happen back and forth, which makes it super easy then for people to share data, to give access to dashboards, all the things that you would need to actually collaborate with your team on these dashboards. So that's actually pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and this one is actually an already shared one, Jason, if you want to see. The marketing one, I just moved over to the data-driven team. We all already have access to that, so there's no need to request. You should be able to.
What I'll do is I'll change something here. I'll change this to that and maybe change that to a bar chart and click that. And now the dashboard is updated. So when you look at it, you'll see that I changed a couple things. Yeah.
Yep.
Changed
right
the theme.
In real time. I actually saw it in the thumbnail as well. So the theme is now different. This chart is now, this is not the best chart type for this data, as you would have learned in our dashboard do's and don'ts, but it still works.
Yeah, exactly. It's not good. All right. So is that all you had to show for today, Casey?
Yep.
All right. That was great. Thank you. So while you answer the questions, I'm going to finish up with the last couple slides. So let me go ahead and wrap up. So don't let your enterprise get behind. Start promoting a data-driven culture today. This is not Confucius. This is a quote from Casey. But the idea is all of the 6 areas that we talked about today, go and review, start doing your own research, and start learning how you can push this in your organization. Show leadership, promote trust, demonstrate commitment, create metrics that matter. I think that's critical. Study data literacy, understand what this means, take a course. There's so much information. Just watch a 10-minute YouTube video. And in fact, Microsoft has free online courses for data science. Google, the Google Cloud people have a ton of stuff on data literacy, free, all on YouTube. And then train everyone. That's what we did at Infragistics, and I think we're on a good path here. Like I said, we're constantly learning, constantly improving, but we're on the right path. So finally, use Reveal to promote a data-driven culture. Start now. Everything you just saw, just go to revealbi.io and you can do it yourself. The sample dashboards are there that we looked at today, and then you could connect into your own Excel files, wherever, your own SQL servers, your own Google BigQueries, your own anything. It doesn't really matter. All the connectors are there. Google Analytics. If you want a personalized demo, contact sales@infragistics.com. They're more than happy to talk to you, or just email Casey or myself. We are here to help as well if you have any questions. So with that, we're going to stay online for a bit, answer some of the questions, but I want to thank everyone for coming today. And hopefully you have some time to try out Reveal. Send us some questions, and good luck. We'll talk